All right, everyone. It's Rickzilla here with another spectacular video. Today, I'm going to be looking at another quickie article. This quickie article will be about imaginary friends. He sees them with his third eye, but longs to see them in real life. An idea guy on Chris's perception of his imaginary friends. Imaginary friends are psychological manifestations typically employed by toddlers to practice social skills. Most children grow out of the phase. Chris, on the other hand, retained his beliefs in imaginary friends well into adulthood, still holding the belief at 39 years old. Chris has always had difficulties distinguishing fiction from reality due to his autism. His imaginary friends were originally an occasional source of companionship, as well as a coping mechanism for moments of stress, such as the infamous example of invoking Sonichu to Mary Lee Walsh during his college years. As he entered in his mid-30s, Chris retreated more often to his imaginary world as a reaction to the downward spiral of his life, ignoring the real-world problems of his debt and lack of independent living experience, resulting in a vicious feedback loop in which Chris's real-world problems worsen while his devotion to his imaginary friends increases. The machinations of the idea guys and the enablers that followed, whose chief tactic is role-playing as Chris's imaginary friends, further cemented the belief into Chris's mind. Chris's devotion to his imaginary friends outweighed his real-life friendships with his Pokemon League friends, and he gradually lost contact with the latter to focus on his fantasy world. Now here's Chris making out with his partner while hanging out with the Teen Troon Squad. Make of this as you will. How Chris interacts with imaginary friends. Chris is confused over the concept of imagination, interpreting as its visions into the dimension where his friends reside. In a 2010 email to Jackie, Chris said that he communicated with imaginary friends before falling asleep, essentially describing a form of daydreaming. I do still sometimes talk with my electric hedgehog Pokemon while on my way to falling asleep and the TV is off. We talk about current things, like things I could do or say in meeting new people, or just things I'm feeling currently to get their response to. Chris, Jackie emails 16. Chris seen here, publicly taking an imaginary friend. Chris seen here, talking to an imaginary friend at the 2017 BronyCon. Again, make of this as you will. Chris tapped into New Age spirituality to try strengthening his perceived ties to other dimensions with techniques centering around meditation. In summer of 2017, he began referring to a third eye, a concept associated with mental visions and precognition. He also experimented with astral projection, a term for an out-of-body experience achieved with meditation as a method to access Quickfill and later dimension C-197. In fall of 2017, the first of the idea guys entered the picture, role-playing as Chris's own imaginary friends, initially to see if he was gullible enough to believe it. From Chris's perspective, he thought he was addressing his friends over the internet instead of having an astral projection. This validated Chris's beliefs and his faith in imaginary friends, consequently escalated to the forefront of his life. I pretended to be both Sonichu and Rosechu, who borrowed my computer. All it took was a little knowledge on Sonichu, and Chris believes he's talking to his children, the ringleader of the Idea Guys. After the Idea Guys were ousted due to using their influence to extort Chris, various enablers crawled out of the woodwork and copied their techniques, keeping Chris firmly rooted in his fantasy land. Chris has tried to physically interact with fictional characters. During BronyCon 2017, an inconspicuous observer recorded him dancing with Magi-Chan, in reality, having Thin Air as his dance partner. In January 2019, Chris claimed on Twitter to have been attacked by an imaginary enemy while in the shower, and that he was able to whack the attacker with a full conditioner bottle. In April 2019, Chris was spotted by a fan at Target muttering really loudly. From Chris's perspective, he had been hanging out with his imaginary friends. Chris also believes in spirit possession, involving his imaginary friends, such as when he believed that Hyperdimension Neptunia character Uzume and his OC Magi-Chan had possessed his body. Accounts of manifestation. Sonichu. During a 2004 confrontation with Mary Lee Walsh, Chris began to converse with Thin Air, pretending that Sonichu was in the office with him. Chris pretended to be Sonichu, giving a speech that he claimed Sonichu wanted to give Walsh, before ending the lecture with a Kamehameha. Unsurprisingly, Mary ordered him to see a psychiatrist. Chris also conversed with Sonichu and Rosechu before falling asleep. At one point, he claimed that the pair offered him relationship advice. Magaji Le Skunk. He claimed to have conversed with Magaji Le Skunk, particularly regarding how she was allegedly told that Megan, should have never been born. Nightstar. Chris believes that he has overheard conversations held by Nightstar and other random My Little Pony characters. In 2017, Chris also used his Nightstar account on Twitter to talk to himself, even after revealing that Nightstar was a sock puppet of his. Magi-Chan, the prime member of Chris's imaginary friends, have surpassed Sonichu and Nightstar in importance to Chris, as Magi-Chan's ability to center around psychic powers, which Chris deems useful in his misguided attempts to correct his real-world problems. Magi-Chan's rise in status began around summer 2017, when Chris believed Magi-Chan was with him at BronyCon, to the point that he danced with Thin Air at the BronyCon gala, believing his partner was Magi-Chan. Magi-Chan's importance to Chris has made him a key for others to use in manipulating him. The Idea Guys duped Chris into believing he was married to Magi-Chan. The captain invoked Magi-Chan to convince Chris to trust him to stop the Idea Guys. Jacob Sockness deceived Chris with a fake chat log involving Magi-Chan, and various enablers have used Magi-Chan to get their foot in the door with Chris. Discord. Discord is a male Draconius and former antagonist from the cartoon My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. In November 2017, as a result of the main Idea Guys scheme involving Hyperdimension Neptunia, Chris felt he needed bodyguards in the real world to protect him from manipulation by fictional Neptunia character Kurome, choosing imaginary friends Magi-Chan, Sylvana, and Discord. He went to his Pokemon Club at the endgames, escorted by Magi-Chan and Discord, and said he let Discord watch some Dungeons & Dragons games. Chris also asked one of his Pokemon League friends if she could see the imaginary friend and claim to have worn Discord as a draconius vest. Trying to meet Neptune at GameStop, an idea guy told Chris that fictional hyperdimension Neptunia character Neptune would be waiting for him at the GameStop during December 2017. Chris opted to go to the Forest Lakes location from which he had been banned, and on his own initiative, Chris stood outside and thoroughly scanned the interior looking for Neptune, then followed up by honking on his car horn and shouting her name. Polyamorous relationship, or polyamorous marriage. During January of 2018, the idea guys rewrote Sonichu lore so that Magichan and his father figure Mewtwo were married. 2 months later, they convinced Chris that he was married to Magichan and their OC, Krizzle, in a bisexual polyamorous marriage. The notion stuck with Chris, who declared his real-life love quest to be over. In June, long after the idea guys were ousted, Chris widened the marriage to officially include Mewtwo and Sylvana, Magichan's other partner. Chris has frequently mentioned his imaginary husbands and wives on social media by posting messages written from their points of view, claiming to be with them or referring to them as if they were real. Religious figures. Chris has long believed that religious and spiritual figures like God and the Grim Reaper give him messages in the form of dreams, not realizing the dreams are merely expressions of his own subconscious desires. During the Idea Guy saga, an Idea Guy roleplayed as Jesus to troll Chris, as seen in the Krizzle torture chat log, validating Chris's egocentric beliefs that religious figures would seek to contact him. During the subsequent Dimensional Merge saga, Chris took his beliefs to the next level, believing that various deities were his imaginary friends helping with the merge. The CPUs, whom I am friends with, as well as God Emmanuel and Jesus of this dimension. Chris, December 2018. Distress over fictional characters. Chris uses his imaginary friends to find solidarity with changes to fictional media that he dislikes. The initial design for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie was disliked by Chris, who claimed to have discussed the matter with Sonic, whose opinion was the movie does no good justice for him. When long-running cartoon My Little Pony Friendship is Magic wrapped up production, Chris was upset and tried to convince Hasbro to continue the show, claiming to have consulted with Princess Celestia, a cartoon character from the show. Coping with people who distance themselves. Chris has used the concept of imaginary friends to cope with people who explicitly don't want to put up with him. In January 2019, several members of the Brony community blocked Chris's Twitter en masse. Chris tried to cope by role-playing an apology between his alter ego and the alter egos of the Bronies, in which the latter apologizes to Chris for blocking him, and then proceeded to take the roleplay seriously, sending the apology drawings out in a failed attempt to convince the Bronies to unblock him. In December 2019, Chris threw a tantrum over artist Project SNT's redesign of his Wild Sonichu character, later rationalizing his reaction as a result of Dimension CS-89 calling him for help. Chris tried to get Project SNT to respond to his power fantasy, but she refused to act as an enabler and ignored him. Since she didn't want to interact with him, Chris appropriated her as an imaginary friend, declaring that she had been force transported to Dimension CS-89 to assist him with battling interdimensional evil there. Robert Shu. Initially, in the years after Chris's father passed away, Chris was in mourning over the loss, accepting that Bob was gone. However, the idea guys manipulated Chris into believing that Bob was alive in Quickville. Reincarnated as a Sonichu and going by the name Robert Chew, Chris tried to drag his mother into the fantasy of Bob being alive, having her pose for a photo next to a drawing of Robert Chew for a TSSF card. In the card text, Chris claimed, "Every once in a while, Mr. C runs back home to offer comfort to Barbara. Before the dimensional merge's completion, she has missed him every day and found the solace and comfort when he comes by. He continues to carry a torch for her in his heart and soul while he helps to protect everyone in Quickville and at this old temple of a house." On video, Chris has interacted with imaginary friends on video. During the 2017 BronyCon, Chris was observed dancing with Magichan. In the fall-winter of 2018 video, Chris with Teen Troon Squad. While hanging out at a squad member's home, Chris fondles and kisses Thin Air, believing it to be his imaginary wife, Crizzle. In the June 2019 video, Believe in the OCs and Deities, while rambling about the impending dimensional merge, Chris gestures at Thin Air and states that Magichan is sitting next to him. While pretending to be Sonichu, Chris signaled that Rosechu was sitting right next to him as he stated his will on camera. And that's going to be it for Chris and Imaginary Friends. I hope you guys found this somewhat entertaining. Forgive me if there were a bit delays and, well, ramblings, but I'm going to be coming back to this momentarily. And if you want to see more quickie readings, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. You can also follow me on Twitter at RGHaime91. Or you can check out the Discord. Links in the description below. I hope you guys have a great day. Or a great evening wherever you are. That being said, I'm Rickzilla, and I'll be seeing you guys in the near future.